welcome everybody. As Brooke introduced me, I am Bud Shaw. I'm a solution architect with GSI, and I have just to let you know about me. I've been a solution consultant for over 30 years, and well, now up to 23 years. My last 23 years with JDE Edwards. So I think the thing to know about me is I'm a kind of across the board, all areas of functionality in JDE I'm pretty comfortable with and familiar with. So I'm kind of a natural for these kind of webinars to do these kind of things. And I especially like to stay ahead and in touch with the latest and greatest functionality in JDE Edwards. As Oracle continues to enhance manufacturing in JDE, this slide here just kind of talks about some of the things that are out there and have been out there. So, a visual bill of materials and where use diagram, things like being able to copy a bill of materials by a branch, automatic parts list routing attachment. I like that one where you could just put a work order in and it automatically processes it. The work center load review is a nice, kind of a work center centric application that allows you to see when you're over capacity and allows you to drag and drop and adjust what's going on. And that one's been out there for a little bit, but what they are doing, like with this one we're going to show today, the planning summary and console, which is for requirements planning, these are now being offered rewritten in JET, Java Extension Toolkit, so no more ADF server is required. So that's what you're going to see as we get into this today here with this piece of enhancement in JDE Edwards. The resource summary and planning console views, which are delivered to you in release 22 with tools 9.2.6. So the planning summary, as you'll see, as I'll get into this in just a few minutes, is a graphical representation, graphical summary with, right out of the box. If you look at the icons and the graphical representations, you get a better sense of where your issues are, what you need to work on first. There's a message summary, which I'll talk about how you set up your preferences and what your configuration of priority of the messages. And then as you work from that, you can drill to the planning console, which is an interactive console to add planned orders, kind of do what if analysis, if you will. So it's you can work within it, and if you're short on an item, go ahead and put a PO in, and you can see how that affects your overall MRP requirements in your planning. So a lot of user-friendly features in it, from the representation and graphical views of what's going on, and a working console for you as a planner and people to go ahead and adjust and make plans, and then, like you do with a traditional MRP workbench, process those messages and get your work orders created, get your purchase orders created, or your rate schedules, or whatever it may be. So this is just kind of a list of what's some of the features within it. Do realize it is something you will still run your MRP, but it is real time in nature in the way it helps you plan and work with it. One of the interesting things is, if you've been around for a little while, you will see, as we get into it, it may be familiar to you, that this planning summary and the console were used to be available to you as an additional charge for Oracle as memory resident applications that would require you to do enhanced Oracle database functionality to handle the performance. So you don't need to use any enhanced functionality from a database anymore, because you're now with release 22 and tools 9.2.6, you're now running 64-bit. So that's, some of the advantages of the upgrade as you get to the newer release and the newer tools. So what I have here is I've logged in, is in the center of the screen is the planning summary application. And I just put this on to show you it's a UX1 dashboard type page with, watch lists on the left and applications on the right that you can have as a kind of your landing page when you come in the morning to work within your MRP messages and deal with what your issues are. So I'm just going to go ahead and minimize the watch list and the springboard in here. And so here is the planning summary snapshot. Now, as you get ready to start with this, you will configure your preferences and have a configuration name. With a configuration name, when you set that up, you will say, what are your critical messages, the ones that are showing here in red, your high priority or your medium priority messages, and what messages, excuse me, do you take a look at? So these are your message types in here. In this scenario, I've used a little query just to focus in on my master production, my MPF UDC code. So only bike parts, because those are the things that I work and plan for. So you'll set up, not only will you can set up these messages and your priorities in here, but you can also set up critical components to jump out and help you take a look at what you need to work with first. These are both drillable and accessible. I can highlight here, for example, well, you can just click on my red messages here, and you'll see the bottom screen is showing you my master production, my finished good level items that are in high priority that I need to work with and plan some orders, maybe make some material requirements and things like that. So you can, and you'll see right out the top, it's showing you green message, which means your on hand is greater than your current demand. So you're not necessarily in a big trouble, but you don't have any receipts coming in within the next period of time, but you still are in the long run needing to plan to make these bikes, this item number 220 bikes that we're looking in here, right? So you can we can select these touring bikes, and we can row exit to several things in here. So a lot of these, what you would in a traditional MRP and a planning messages, you would go to planning summary and detail and start to navigate in there, so you can see where you're at with your on-hand balance, where you're at. You can see you're in trouble. You're going forward. You need to get some bikes made because your inventory, you're short. You don't have enough in there. So, and as I clicked on this red, notice it highlighted your expedite and increase messages that came from your MRP run. Let me take a look here. Somebody's asked a quick question. This planning summary screen is a standard application. I put it on a UX1 page. It is not a UX screen. It's a standard, it's a planning summary application. Let's see, I can show you where to find it on the menu. This one, it's a P34X100. That's the application name. And as I said, it's a JET application, Java Extension Toolkit. So it's been rewritten. It used to be a memory resident that required, and I forgot what the terminology was from the database that you needed to do that. So we get confused a little bit between this term of UX. To me, the UX is a page that is comprised of this application and or a graphical application. similar to it. And then your springboard or your applications, your analyze or your alert, analyze, and act paradigm from a UX1 page, right? So, all right, so I can come back here and now we can go for this, and so we can see where the demand is. And now here we can go to the other new application in here from the summary, the planning summary, to the planning console. So we go to the planning console on these bikes. You're getting another view and another representation of it with, you know, your demand and supply going in here. And what I like about this is, see up in here, these are your critical components warning messages. So this is giving you, you've said in a configuration that certain items are things you need to pay attention to because they are, you know, critical to you. Maybe they're in jeopardy for delivery, or, you know, longer lead times and things like that. So in here with this particular touring bike, I can look and see what are my critical component items, and I can see it's a chain, a standard chain, which is the one that's an item. I don't, you know, I'm short of inventory on hand, and what was I going to say here? You can, you know, I'm short the item on hand. I don't have any coming in. You can change and look and see this is adjusted. If I change it any unadjusted, we can take a look at that as well. So this is something that I would want to go ahead and work and plan with. So now if I can go right from here and go to the planning console for this chain. So this is giving you just focusing in from that. So very easy navigation and working through here. And I can see I'm short, you know, of inventory to make it, but we can take a look at the settings for this guy. So notice I have set here a requirement of safety stock of 10. If I include my safety stock in my planning, notice it dynamically changes, and I am now, you know, I've got 2 available, right? So safety stock is what's hurting it, right? So that doesn't mean, you know, that I wouldn't want to go ahead and do it, but it doesn't mean I'm not so critical as I might need to be in doing it. And from here we can go right in, and I can say I can create a planned order for this quantity. Say I'm going to order 25 of them, right? And, you know, whatever the date may be, who we're going to get it from, or I can even trigger a transfer order in here. As we save this, we get it in here. This is giving me a little warning about the date. I don't really care. But now, so we start working with our item, and we can go back to the overall view for the bikes, and then look at any other issues and components. But this was my critical component that I needed to do it. And as you work within the console, you see you get these additional buttons in here. You know, we can say restore the plan, or we can implement the plan, or we can save it and keep on working, come back into it, make other changes, and then do a whole plan implementation at one time. And when you do the plan implementation, you implement the plan, that's what it's going to trigger, actually create your purchase order, actually create your work orders. Or I can go ahead and restore it. So I restore the plan and go back and go back to where we were before. Just close out because I've drilled down to that lower level, and we're back to our planning summary at the higher level, right? We can change our view here and just take a look at my order or my O items, right, in here, and see where I'm at in here. So I can see these are the items that I need to order, you know, primarily recommending orders. I'll notice, and as you start looking at here, I like what they've done in it, you know, so you can see this is giving you a little message in here with a little square box, and pass your mouse over the on hand is less than the current demand. And you also have we can see I've got material coming in one day just by passing over it. And as you work with that, you might want to know a little bit more about it. Maybe you would want to go back into it and go in your supply demand inquiry on this and see what that item is, and then maybe go ahead and pull the purchase order up. Here's the purchase order 10 coming in tomorrow, and go ahead and navigate and see if you can bump up and get more in if you want it. So the workbench is very powerful and useful to help you work it through. Oh, I see another question came through. Somebody asked, does this work the same for maintenance planning, purchasing items based on work order demand? Yes, it'll work for if you, I'm assuming you're talking about maintenance planning for your capital asset management when you run your MRP version for your maintenance items. But yes, it will work. It's any kind of messages, MRP messages that the system generates. So yes, Angelina, it will work for your maintenance MRP messages. So yep. Let's see here now. What did I want to go with here? So as I was pointing in here, I looked at my my items. My crank. I've got a quantity on hand in here, and you just keep on working through it for your want. So let's go in here. My first day's receipt. Maybe we just go into, and we'll just just kind of work within here. We'll go into the chain rings and go into the planning console for this guy. There are a lot more fields and information over there, but we can go ahead and create a planned order. For this one, we can see we're short. Create a planned order. Create a planned order for 25 of these. Go ahead and I can go back now and then close out of here and come back and keep on working. Go in and take a look at maybe at my parent item and say, okay, I need to get some of these bikes made, so we can go ahead and work with them. And again, it's just as we did before. So I'll go into planning console just to show you the end result of that. And when I create a planned order for these, right? Notice it's now going to create a work order, just like if you're working with your MRP detail messages within it, right? So let's create an order for 50 of these bikes. And I haven't triggered any, creation. We're just going ahead and planning right now. So you keep on planning through these, right? Oh, wrong date. Get them in for next week. So we're creating, and again, we can restore the plan. We can go ahead and trigger and implement the plan, and keep on working through the messages until we're ready to release and go with them. Okay, I see we got a chat out here now. Is promised delivery date okay? Yes, it is. The default when you're creating that promised delivery date will use your parameters for your item record, whatever your lead times are, and add that to it when it comes up and recommends it. But you can override it, as it. Remember, we're just creating the mess. We're just firming up those messages and getting ready to release them. So I'll just briefly, so the setup here, just so you're a little aware of how that works. Again, it's underneath material planning, daily processing, your MRP operations, and then, I'm sorry, in memory, they call it in memory planning. Oh, what I want to show you is the setup in here. So these are the two setups you'll go into when you get this. priorities. This is, and just what your priority, you can have different, different configurations for different people, and these are which messages are you interested in, and which, how many of them triggers it being plugged into an order. So an expedite count of 1 puts it into a high message, right? For my cancels, those are lower priority items. So when I have one of them, I'm going to put it in the medium. So that's what, your little setup here is. And then the other one is very simple for your critical components to flag which items are critical for you to flag into when you click on that hyperlink within the console, within the planning, the summary console, the planning summary, this in the console itself. So this one, we can do the same thing, launch this. You just, I didn't mean to confuse somebody with the UX1 idea, but if we close off this UX, these content, it's just the one application. And if you don't know how to do these pages, this is just a version of a page. This could be just as well be just the application itself. So. Okay, so let me go back here briefly. So this is just a summary, because we're going to have this recorded, and you can get a recording of it and come back and revisit. And this is just kind of pointing out a lot of the bullets and features within here, and even a couple that I didn't touch upon. You can, have media objects or text. So you can, when you do your order, you can, or you're working within the workbench, and you can make comments and have text, and add attachments to those things. This is, the critical component delay. You can freeze or unfreeze individual or multiple orders within it. So as you working through it, you freeze these orders and then go ahead and make other changes, and those orders don't get stepped on. So I think it's just a very usable and friendly view of your MRP messages with a workbench to work within them. Somebody asked a question here, Daniel. When you create the planned orders on the fly, like does order multiple? No, it's just what it's doing is, no, it's sorry, Daniel. No, it's just whatever you're saying. It's recommending how many you need when it goes ahead and triggers the creation of the purchase order. Any other questions or chat? I don't see any. I think I hit them all. So Brooke, I'll pass it back to you.